What if I told you that sometimes the thing that causes us the most anxiety is actually not feeling anxious? Almost like calm feels more dangerous than anxiety itself. And on the face of it, this might sound strange, but I see this all the time with clients. The truth is, when anxiety becomes our comfort zone, the moments of calm can actually feel scarier than the storm. Hi, I'm Tim Box, mind coach, anxiety specialist, and author of Clear Your Head. For more than a decade now, I've been helping people get control of their anxiety response and develop a better relationship with their own mind. In today's video, we're going to explore one of the strangest but most common patterns I see. The times when not feeling anxious is the very thing that makes us anxious. I'm going to explain how this happens and then give you a framework for letting go of that particular pattern of thought. So a client once told me her mum used to say, when there's nothing to worry about, that's when you need to worry. Now on the surface that sounds almost comical, but for a lot of us it hits uncomfortably close to home. Because anxiety can become such a valued safety protocol, this constant scanning, this sense of being on guard, that the rare moments of calm actually freak us out. Why? Because our mind starts saying, hang on, did I miss something? This can't be right. If I'm not anxious, I'm probably unprepared. It's as if anxiety has become our security blanket, a blanket we just can't seem to put down. And of course, this can greatly hinder our recovery from any sort of anxiety issue, because the moment we start to make progress and recognize a drop in our anxiety levels, that just triggers the very anxiety response we've been trying to escape. But if anxiety is the thing we're trying to get rid of, how do we end up fearing and resisting the shift we so desperately want? Anxiety often teaches us the mistaken idea that it was only by staying hyper-vigilant that we ever kept ourselves safe. And often we learn this strategy early. Maybe our parents were anxious and we just modeled that way of thinking, or maybe we grew up in an environment where bracing for the worst felt like the only way to survive, especially with the limited control of our circumstances that we have as a child. But there's a whole list of other reasons why this might happen. First, there's the illusion of control. Anxiety convinces us that by constantly anticipating what might go wrong, we're less likely to be blindsided. Calm feels reckless, kind of like we're lowering our guard in enemy territory. Second, it can be about avoiding disappointment. Some people believe that if they expect the worst, they won't be let down. Anxiety feels like a buffer to the bad stuff, whilst calm feels like hope, and hope leaves us vulnerable to being crushed. Third, anxiety can quickly become part of our identity if we've lived with it long enough. Calm feels alien. Even though it's uncomfortable, anxiety feels familiar, and the familiar discomfort often feels safer than the thing we fear even more, the unknown. Fourth, there's the fear of letting go of vigilance. Anxiety sometimes tricks us into believing that being on edge is the very thing that keeps us safe. Nothing bad happened because I was ready for it if it did. Letting go feels like tempting fate. Fifth, there's what we might call the paradox of calm. When we've been anxious for so long, calm feels so unusual that the contrast actually makes anxiety feel worse when it returns. So we end up fearing calm because it feels temporary. It feels like the last step before anxiety strikes once more, and when it does, we fear it hitting even harder. And finally, anxiety can form a learned association with safety. If every time you felt anxious you've also avoided something, left early, stayed home, backed out of a risk, then your mind links anxiety with survival. Calm just feels like exposure. So you can see there are plenty of reasons why anxiety convinces us that it's safer than peace, but the truth is, that's false. The truth is, we didn't get through life's struggles because we were anxious. We got through them because we are resilient and capable of adapting to the unexpected. We got through them in spite of the anxiety. None of us can predict the future. We're not fortune tellers. This means we don't know what's coming. It means that every single day of our lives, we've dealt with the unexpected. As a result of that, we've become quite good at doing this. You might say it's what we're best at. After all, we're still here. So we've actually got every right to trust ourselves a little more, trust our ability to adapt and react to life in a way that keeps us safe and moves us towards happiness, no matter how unprepared the challenges find us. All constant vigilance really does is spoil our enjoyment of the good times. Instead of relaxing into calm, we turn it into yet another reason to feel tense. And think about it. Even if we can stack up 100 examples of times when things went wrong, that still leaves millions of moments in our life when things didn't. Most days are blissfully free of drama. Most days nothing catastrophic happens. So bracing for the unlikely event of disaster striking actually doesn't make sense. Why expect the worst and miss out on the joy of right now? So if you ever catch yourself worrying about not worrying, remind yourself of this. You don't need anxiety to keep you safe. You already have everything you need to handle whatever tomorrow brings. And most importantly, don't let the fear of what comes tomorrow steal your today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And why not watch this other video that I suspect you'll also find helpful. I also have a members area you can check out if you want access to all my best content. Just click the link in the description below. I'm Tim Box. Thanks for watching. Always remember, be kind to your mind, and I'll see you next time.